This is the iPad. Okay, but which one? Well, it's the iPad. You see, it's not the Air or the Pro, this is the entry-level iPad. It's just called the iPad. And yes, I know that this might sound a bit confusing to some, so let me explain. So back in the days of good old Steve Jobs, Apple only had one single iPad, and it was called the iPad. Then came the iPad 2, the iPad 3, the iPad 4, and then, instead of Apple releasing the iPad 5, they actually revamped the entire naming scheme and called it the iPad Air. So then we had the iPad Air 2, and then Apple actually killed the iPad Air naming scheme as well, releasing the iPad Pro. And then they actually brought back the iPad Air in 2019 with the iPad Air 3rd generation, and then back in 2017, they also brought back the original iPad naming scheme by launching the 5th generation iPad. And this was essentially the entry-level iPad, since it didn't have any other name, such as Air or Pro. It was the essential iPad, the one for everyone that just wanted and needed a very good tablet. Then in 2018, Apple released the second entry-level iPad, the iPad 6th generation, and now in 2019, we just got the 7th generation, this one right here. So here are my final thoughts on this iPad, covering the design, the display, the camera, performance, special features, battery, and finally the value. Let's see if this is actually worth it in 2019 for an iPad, or any other tablet for that matter. So grab some snacks, some popcorn, and some drinks, and enjoy the full review of the 10.2-inch 2019 iPad. You want to keep your connection private and secure, and also be able to access any region-restricted websites such as Netflix US, for example, outside US, for those exclusive movies and TV shows that you cannot otherwise access. Well, if the answer is yes, then check out PIA, or Private Internet Access VPN, using the link below. It works on iOS, Android, Mac, Windows, Linux, and even extensions for Chrome, Firefox, or Opera. Get it for as low as $3.33 a month by using the link in the description. Okay, so starting off with the design, this is a bit of a weird one. You see, the 5th generation iPad, the first entry-level iPad from 2017, actually had the exact same design as the iPad Air 1 from 2013. We had the exact same thick body, the same non-laminated display, so it was a really big step backwards, to be honest. Then in 2018, we got a second entry-level iPad, a 2nd generation, or the 6th generation iPad, and that one had the exact same design as the 1st generation, and now the 3rd generation entry-level iPad, or the 7th gen iPad, I know this is a bit confusing, but the 2019 one, now finally gets a brand new design. Kinda. We still have the same 7.5mm thickness as the previous two entry-level iPads and the iPad Air from 2013, so this is a fairly bulky tablet. It's noticeably thicker than the 5.9mm that we have on the iPad Pro 2019 or 2018, or the 6.1mm that the new iPad Air 2019 has. And it's also quite heavy as well. At 483 grams for the Wi-Fi only model, this is the second heaviest iPad since the iPad Air 1 in 2013. Only the iPad Pro 12.9 inches heavier at the moment than this iPad is. So using it in one hand isn't necessarily impossible, but for me at least, I found it quite uncomfortable and tiring because of the weight of this. Also, the design itself is very outdated, as we still have the same thick top and bottom bezels, the same fairly thick side bezels, which by the way are even thicker than on the iPad Air 2019, and the good old home button. Now, I did mention that this iPad did get a new design from last year, and that's true, so we did get a larger display. So we now have a 10.2-inch display up from the 9.7-inch one that we had before. What this means is that the actual dimensions of this iPad are actually identical to the ones of the iPad Air 2019. So we have the same 25.6 centimeters height and the same 17.4 centimeters width. The only differences between the two are the thickness difference and the weight that I was talking about before. Now, the Air does have a slightly larger 10.5-inch display, and the Pro has an 11-inch display. So this means that this entry-level iPad does have the thickest bezels out of the three, and pretty much the same size almost as the other two. Okay, so now what about the actual quality of this display? Well, resolution-wise, it's actually pretty good. So we have a 2160 by 1620 resolution panel, which has the same 264 ppi as all the other iPads, aside from the Mini, which actually has 364, since it's smaller and you would use it at a closer distance from your eyes. So it's a very sharp and clear panel, and the brightness is very good as well. So it's 500 nits, so the same brightness as on the iPad Air. However, it's not as bright as the Pros, which can actually get up to 600 nits, but still, it's very good. However, I'm afraid that this is where all the positives end in terms of the display. The display is unfortunately far behind what we get with the Air or the Pro, and that's because it is not a laminated display. What this means is that there's actually a gap in between the glass and the actual LCD panel underneath it, so it will always feel as if you're touching the display that's behind a windshield or a very thick glass screen protector. And this not only breaks away from the immersion, but it also means that you'll get much more reflection than you would on all the other iPads. Aside from this, there is no true tone display that both the Air and the Pros have, which automatically adjusts the color temperature to make it easier on the eyes, and we also lack a white color DCI-P3 panel that both the Air and the Pros have. So if you're into professional color grading, while this is still a pretty good display overall, the Air and the Pros are much better suited for any kind of work that requires color accuracy. So the design is quite outdated, but the display is honestly the worst part about this iPad. But honestly, don't get me wrong, it's not that bad. It's just that it's noticeably worse than even the iPad Air 2 from 2014. Now, in terms of the camera, I know, this isn't an important feature to have on an iPad since, we all have smartphones with a much better camera anyways. But a camera on an iPad can actually be useful in some cases, cases where you want to make a FaceTime call with your family or friends, or when your phone's battery is dead and you really want to take, a photo and you need something to take a photo with. So there you go, this is why we have cameras on this iPad. Now, quality-wise, this iPad has a 1.2 megapixel, not a 12, a 1.2 megapixel front-facing camera, which, as you can probably tell, it's pretty bad when compared to the iPad Air, the iPad Pro, or the iPhone 11. Video recording on the front is kept at 720p, so again, this is how they all compare. Yeah, this is significantly worse. So yeah, it's obviously not the best camera, but considering that, there's a massive price difference between all of these devices, I would say it's still, usable-ish. Now, the back-facing camera is actually a bit better. So this is essentially the same camera that we had on the iPhone 5 from 2012, 7 years ago. So yeah, it's an 8 megapixel sensor, f2.4 aperture, and it can do 1080p video at up to 30 frames per second. The pictures do actually look better than on the iPhone 5, thanks to the better image processing. And yes, while the camera is so much worse than the one on the iPad Air 2019 or, the latest iPad Pro, it is still perfectly usable for that time when you need an emergency camera to just capture a specific scene. Speaking of emergencies, make sure you subscribe to notifications so that you get notified whenever a new video comes out. Okay, moving on to the performance, this is a bit of an odd one. You see, the 7th generation iPad comes with the same Apple A10 processor, yes, the same processor that we had in the iPhone 7 from 2016, and still the same one that we got with the iPad 6th generation from last year. So yes, unfortunately, we did not get any processor upgrade with this year's iPad over the one from last year, which is pretty disappointing. Considering that the iPhone 6 got dropped from iOS 13 support, the iPhone 6s that comes with the Apple A9 processor is the last supported iPhone. So yeah, the Apple A10 chip could be dropped in iOS 15, which means that this iPad will only get about 2 years of updates compared to, 5 years, for example, that we had and still have with the iPad Air 2. Now, we did get one upgrade in terms of the performance from last year, and that is the RAM. We have 3 GB of RAM up from 2 GB. This means that we can now keep more apps open in the background, and this also helps a ton when it comes to split-screen multitasking, which I'll cover in just a second. Okay, so far, this doesn't look like anything that impressive. It's an iPad with a 6-year-old design, a slightly larger display, but a non-laminated one, a 7-year-old camera, and a 3-year-old processor. But you see, even though this looks really bad on paper, the remaining 3 sections of this review is where this iPad really excels. Interested in special features, this iPad, same as the one from last year, supports the Apple Pencil. And no, this isn't the 2nd generation one that we got with the 2018 iPad Pro, and no, it does not have that very smooth 120Hz refresh rate ProMotion display that the iPad Pros have, so the Apple Pencil experience isn't as good as on the iPad Pros. But hey, you can at least use it. I've actually seen comments from actual graphic designers and artists that were using this entry-level iPad last year to make some amazing drawings, so this can actually be used for professional work. It's just that it's not as good as the Pro is for drawing, but it's definitely usable. Now, something quite new this year is the smart connector. Yes, just like with the iPad Air 2019 and all the iPad Pros, we have a smart connector which actually allows you to connect Apple's first-party keyboard to this iPad. And this is actually the exact same keyboard that we got with the 2nd generation iPad Pro 10.5-inch or the iPad Air 2019. So if you already have a keyboard for those iPads, it would work perfectly on this one. However, Apple's keyboard is very, very expensive. At $160, this keyboard is pretty much half of what this entire iPad costs at $330. And there are so many better keyboards out there, many other third-party options that work via Bluetooth and also have a better typing experience. So I left some links down below to the best ones out there for this iPad. Now, the Apple one is also very mushy, by the way, and aside from the fact that it's very slim and you don't have to charge it since it gets power from the that smart connector from the iPad itself, aside from this, it doesn't really do anything extra that a third-party keyboard doesn't already do. It even does less because you're missing on those function keys, essentially, which most third-party keyboards already have. However, the fact that we have Apple Pencil support and the smart connector on this entry-level iPad, which used to be, a key selling feature of the iPad Pro, this, guys, this is a huge, huge deal. And then, speaking of special features, by the way, we have the biggest one out there, which is iPad OS. iPad OS is essentially iOS 13, but on the iPad it got a new name, so iPad OS, just because of how big the changes are. So now we can load full desktop pages in Safari by default, rather than, getting that mobile view. And this actually means that Google Docs on the web is now fully usable, with full comments on the side, which is amazing, which, wasn't possible at all on the iPad before. And you can also use multiple slide over apps for an even better multitasking experience, and you can also use multiple windows of the same app side by side, such as multiple instances of the Notes app, for example. You can even have on-screen widgets now when you're on the home screen, for example, landscape, which is something that I've been wanting Apple to include for years. Oh, and did I mention that you can also use a PS4 or an Xbox controller with this natively and play games such as Fortnite, or you can even use the PlayStation Remote app and literally play your very own PlayStation games from your PS4 at home directly on this iPad. Like, how insane is that? And now that Apple has launched Apple Arcade, their subscription gaming service, you can now play console quality games such as Oceanhorn 2 directly on this iPad with ease. So the entry-level iPad is pretty much like a Nintendo Switch when it comes to gaming. It's actually better than the Switch in so many ways. The better performance, the better app support, and things such as, the better display. And once Apple Arcade grows even more, we'll have some even more high-end games such as, Oceanhorn 2 on this. So yeah, that's just a matter of time. And probably the best part about iPad OS is that if you have a Mac running macOS Catalina, you can also use it as a secondary monitor for your Mac. And Apple Pencil support will also work as well. So there you go, you now have a graphics tablet right in your iPad. It works wirelessly and connected via cable. So that's just amazing. So yeah, there you go. Both from a productivity and a gaming side, this iPad is an amazing, amazing tool to have. Now, moving on to the battery, Apple claims up to 10 hours of web browsing on this, which, fun fact, has actually been their claim for every single iPad model ever since the original iPad came out in 2010. So yes, Apple has kept the same battery life on all the iPads, and they just made them thinner over the years. They made the displays brighter, they increased the performance while maintaining the exact same battery life over the years. Personally, I've never really had a battery life issue with any of my iPads, but then at the same time, I never really got 10 hours of battery life. So I mostly get about 7 or so hours, but the battery life does depend on your actual usage. So yeah, it does depend on how you use it, but do expect about at least 67 hours out of this. And finally, we have the value. I wish I could spin this like Day2D does, but I can't really do it. So is this iPad worth it? And my answer is yes, definitely. Even though it has a 6-year-old design, a 6-year-old display, a 7-year-old camera, and a 3-year-old processor, it can actually do every single thing that an iPad Pro can. It's just that it will do all of those things just a bit slower. And that's it. So at $330, this iPad costs less than an entry-level Apple Watch Series 5 does, which starts at $400. Then it's also $180 less than the iPad Air 2019, which starts at $500, and $470 less than the iPad Pro 11-inch. And because of this, and the fact that, like I said before, this iPad can actually do everything that the iPad Pro already can, just not as well, I highly, highly recommend it to everyone that just need a base iPad and don't really care about, any other extra features. I mean, hey, you even have the exact same navigation gestures like we have on the iPad Pro, so even though the home button is still there, we have the exact same functionality that the iPad Pro has. So whether you're a student, an elder, a kid, or someone new to iPads in general, this is the right iPad for you. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you want to buy this iPad, by the way, definitely consider using the links below. You don't have to pay anything, but by buying through the links below, you support the channel because we do get a commission, a small one from Amazon. So you support the channel and videos, in tech videos like this one, hopefully was. Let us know in the comments what do you guys think about this entry-level iPad, and if you do have an iPad, now it's actually glitched. There you go, back. If you do have an iPad, which model do you actually have? And yeah, this has been pretty much it. This is Subscribe notifications if you want to see more in-depth tech videos like this one. Again, hopefully was. And also check out our websites for our website. We only have one for articles. Untitled.com/articles for written articles of videos such as this one and more news updates. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'm Daniel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. ZONEofTECH signing out. Cheers.